I call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to the School District of Waukesha. This is a full Board of Education meeting on April 14th, 2021. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So will you please take the roll call?
Here. Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Kurt is excused, Sue. And Sue, will you please verify that we've been properly posted with the media? Well, thank you. We do not have any bright lights this evening, and we're going to move right into our recognitions. So you weren't ready. Were you, Sharon? Yeah, so our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources is Sharon Thiede. She's going to present the Employee Recognition Award this evening.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. So, the Employee Recognition Award for April of 2021 is being presented this evening to Karen Tillis, standing over here. Okay. So Karen started in the School District of Waukesha in 2019 as the Principal Secretary at Bethesda Elementary School. Her nominators begin by saying that Karen has gone above and beyond what is expected of her in so many ways. Not only does she bring an amazing smile and an open heart to school every day, she works endlessly to provide staff and students in Bethesda amazing learning experiences. Around the district, she is known for creating monthly competitions for Bethesda. For Hispanic Heritage Month, she creates Music Madness, in which songs from different Hispanic countries compete until a winner is emerged. Students loved engaging in the daily song competition and were passionately cheering for their favorite songs. Around the holidays, she organized a holiday song competition in which holiday songs were played from around the world. They engaged in a reading challenge to celebrate Black History Month. Karen has shared these contributions and these ideas with other secretaries, and they were able to utilize her work to create fun opportunities for their schools as well. During quarantine last spring, Karen created weekly dance videos for the staff to participate in. They were then shared with Bethesda families each Friday. Karen was adamant that she represent both instructional languages within the school community by including songs in both English and Spanish. She spent countless hours editing the videos, and the students and families loved watching them when they were at home during the pandemic. Also, Karen created a new late pass system in which she communicated to her staff about the importance of welcoming all students, even if they're coming in late to school. She stated the vast majority of the time, the lateness of an elementary school student is usually completely out of their control. So hopefully these passes will bring a little bit of joy to the students' day. And she changed the perspectives and shifted everyone's lens of thinking and how we perceive certain things within Bethesda. So undoubtedly, Karen has a passion for equity and social justice, which permeate with everything she does. She's an active participant in Bethesda's equity community. Her ideas revolve around learning, respecting, celebrating, and honoring the diversity of the school and the school community. All of her contributions have created a positive impact to the school and the community and work environment. This has led to a more inclusive work environment and learning and growth from everyone in the school community. Additionally, she welcomes parents and students with open arms by greeting each of them by name. Every single interaction that she has with a student, parent, or caregiver emanates respect and trust. She has made what would have been a more difficult year due to COVID, a year that we can still celebrate all of our staff and students. So on behalf of the School District of Waukesha, I'd like to congratulate Karen Tillis on being selected to receive the Employee Recognition Award.
I just want to say thank you so much to my principal, Mr. Martin, and really, I have absolutely loved being a part of the Bethesda community. From the moment that I stepped foot in the building, I felt like it was a second home. So this is really meaningful because I feel that, everything that I do every day to welcome families and everything, it's noticed. It's very humbling, but it's a great honor. So thank you so much.
I'll tell you, her job is not an easy one. The front line of any school is the secretary, and they do a lot. Everyone knows the secretary, and they're like, they make that school, you know what it is. They're a very huge part of it. Obviously, the whole community makes the school, but very important role. So congratulations, Karen. As we all know, too, we recently had an election, and Kelly Piasek, Patrick McCaffrey, and Anthony Zenobia had won those positions. And we do have two people that are going to be rolling off the board, and that's Diane Voigt and Kurt O'Brien. And they have served this community for many years. And Diane, I would like to thank you for your service. And Kurt, I wish you were here. We'd like to thank you too for your service. I just want to review a little bit of the service that each of you have provided. Diane was on the board for a total of 3 years, and during that time, she served in or on the following positions and committees: clerk, the Waukesha Education Representative, Finance and Facilities Committee, Policy Committee, Technology Committee, which she also chaired, and Government Relations and Legislative Committee. So thank you for your expertise and your hard work in those areas, Diane. We wish you luck moving forward. And Kurt O'Brien was on the board for a total of 15 and a half years. During that time, he served in on the following positions and committees: Vice President, Treasurer, Human Resources and Compensation, which he chaired, Teaching and Learning, Technology Committee, Finance and Facilities Chair. He chaired that committee. Compensation, Negotiations, Legislative Committee, and WASB Delegate. You'll notice that some of those committees don't exist. They have old names. He's been on so long. And we thank you, Kurt, for your service for all those years. Moving on to our student representative report, we're going to be hearing from our West High School representatives. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Welcome, Ben and Emma.
Hi.
What's happening at West?
Well, you're about to
Or is
find
it
out.
easier to say what's not happening at West? I don't know. All right.
Hopefully this works. Here, you're talking first. You can go by the mic.
All right, so good evening, everybody. First, we want to say thank you for allowing us to come here and speak on behalf of our school. We're really happy to be here today talking to you guys, and we're excited to share what's been going on since the last time we presented in December. And I guess I'll start off with a little bit about myself. So my name is Emma Schwarzenbacher, and I'm a senior at Waukesha West. Next year, I plan on attending UW-Madison with a major in actuarial science. And in terms of school, I am involved in student council and National Honor Society, and am also the vice president of Future Business Leaders of America. And then outside of school, I dance competitively for Liberty Dance Center. It's right by West. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Hello, school board. I am Ben Hamilton. I'm also a senior at West. At West, I'm involved with varsity tennis. I'm the team captain this year. I'm the president of Future Business Leaders of America. I'm an NHS. I do a lot of business-related things at school. Like, I love FBLA. It's one of my favorite things to do. Outside of school, I love to golf. I like playing tennis outside of school just for fun recreationally. And in terms of post-high school plans, I also plan to attend Madison, hopefully, majoring in finance, which, I mean, that'd be great if that happened. Maybe a minor in marketing or sales or something like that, but definitely down the business road is where I plan to go.
All right, so we are going to get started with talking about the academics side of what's going on at West. So actually, something we wanted to mention that's actually happening right now as we speak is the National Honor Society induction ceremony for the juniors and seniors that will be joining National Honor Society this coming year. And that's why Mr. Pat isn't here with us today. He's there at that event. So that's exciting. We're both a part of National Honor Society as well, but we decided to come here instead, so.
Okay, so back at school. As you all know, you guys made the decision. We are all back at school full-time from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., which is an awesome thing in my opinion. I mean, this could be taken multiple different ways, but I wanted to take this time to kind of explain like our 2 cents because we go to West. We want to let you guys know firsthand how we feel about this decision and how it's going. I love it. I think it's great. It's really good to be back at school full-time because as a student, I found it pretty hard to learn over a computer screen, which, I mean, I guarantee you there's a bunch of other kids that can attest to that. They also would agree. But for me personally, being in a classroom, having a teacher in front of me instead of, on my computer screen is really beneficial to me. And I guarantee you it'd be like that for the teachers as well, to be back at their natural teaching habitat, kind of in front of the whiteboard, behind a desk. I think that's good for them too. But having a normal schedule, everyone's still socially distanced, kids are in the halls, it feels like everything's back to normal, which is absolutely amazing. Because I know when Alec Boland and Jordan Chrysler were here back in December, a big talking point of theirs was, hey, we're hybrid right now, what's the plan? But now we can say it, it's safe to say, we're back at school full time and we're really happy to say so. And also this year, we have written down that West is ranked 32nd out of 453 high schools, statewide based on the U.S. News criteria. That means West is in the top 7% of our schools statewide, so that's a really cool fact.
And then one more thing I wanted to mention about just being back 5 days a week. I think it's really beneficial to kids, especially who are in AP classes, because, I mean, just speaking from experience, I thought it was really difficult to learn some of that harder stuff that you don't get right away over WebEx. Not like it was anyone's fault, but it's just the difference of being in person and being able to ask questions easier and that kind of thing. So it's exciting to be back 5 days a week, at least for me. But next, we actually wanted to bring up this National Merit Scholarship Program that West has been involved in this year. So when we talked to Mr. Pat, he said that in all his years of being principal, he didn't remember there ever being a National Merit finalist from West High School, let alone 3 in the same year. So that was super exciting. So this year we have Alec Boland, Ethan Ammerman, and Travis Heatree representing West in this scholarship program. And this is super exciting because about 1.6 million juniors apply for this scholarship from over 22,000 schools. So to have 3 people from Waukesha West High School be a finalist in this competition is really exciting for West and something to be proud of.
All right, and then athletics and their achievements. So I'm going to cover some of the cool things that you guys missed out on from December until now. So the girls varsity cheer went to state, and they left as champions, actually. They got first place in, I believe, the non-stunt division, which is super cool. The boys basketball team won our Classic 8 conference, which is also awesome. They got to cut the net. I think that's the first time that's happened in a while, so that's awesome. The snowboarding team got second place at state, which is super cool. I know that club is really highly regarded, and it's really cool that they got second place. And finally, for wrestling, CJ Griesar, awesome guy, and he's a great wrestler too. He was the only one from our school that advanced to state, and that's him on the right. He's a super cool guy. He's really good at wrestling, and he made it. So that's really cool, and those are the things that I had to catch you guys up on.
And then we are finally moving out of the eternal Wisconsin winter and into the spring. So with that, it's going to come the spring season sports, which I believe are actually starting tomorrow or very soon. So that's going to include boys tennis, boys and girls track and field, boys and girls lacrosse, baseball, softball, boys golf, and girls soccer. So that's something really exciting that last year a lot of them missed out on because their seasons were canceled because of COVID. So I think everyone's really ready to get back out there with those spring sports.
Yeah, 100%. I can attest to that. I'm on the tennis team, and being told that our season was just cut to nothingness, that just was hard to hear. And it sucks, because instead of having 4 years of being able to be out on the court and playing with your team, you get 3. So I can, at least for myself, and I guarantee you for my teammates and my coach, like, everyone's super excited to be back out on the court, or like track and field guys and girls on the field, like back in their like sporting area. And it's super exciting to resume those, because it's been a year. It's been a long time, and everyone's super stoked and excited to get back to it. Another ginormous thing that happened at West was the Athletic Leadership Conference, and our AD, Kyle Lemieux, puts this together every year, I think since 2013. It's a pretty big deal, because what it is what he tells the coaches to reach out to their, not students, their players, and each coach selects, I want to say, like 2 to 3 of the athletes on the team that like best demonstrate like leadership characteristics, and they get invited to come to this big athletic conference, which is typically held at, River Glen, typically, because it's way bigger there, but because of COVID and like scheduling, it couldn't happen this year. So we had it at the West Auditorium, and because of COVID, we had to cut it into a morning session and an afternoon session with half the people, instead of having everybody go all at once to River Glen, which, it was a shame that happened, but we still got the experience of putting this together. And myself included, and about 10 other people, Mr. Lemieux got together and said, okay, you guys are the planning committee for this. You guys demonstrated good leadership qualities, at least that I've seen you do. You guys are good at your sports. You guys can plan this whole thing. We're like, what? Okay. So we started to plan this big old conference, and it came out to be this really cool thing where, if you look on the screen, the main stage, that's where everyone went for Mr. Lemieux's talk. He's such a good speaker. My gosh, this guy knows what he's talking about. He was giving motivational talks. He was giving a lot of inspirational talks. He's a really good guy. He knew what he was talking about. And then after that, we kind of broke up into different like sections, and people would give their, like, the planning committee themselves, like myself, would give like a seminar on, like, my seminar was willing to be first, like the hardships of like wanting to be first, what comes with it and what doesn't. And a lot of kids, myself included, like, learn a lot from this conference, because I've never really I've always wanted to present. Like, presenting has always been a thing that I didn't mind. But now I'm presenting to the school board. I'm still like a little nervous, because it's the school board. But at the same time, I feel more confident up here than I would have before this, because when I was giving my seminar, I felt confidence, and that's something I really didn't feel presenting before. So it's a super cool feeling that I had, and I guarantee you that other kids also felt that way, that, hey, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm going to this conference I've never been to before. And I think that's really cool. That's a really cool thing that a West student would get to experience.
And then one thing I actually wanted to mention about that Athletic Leadership Conference, if you look at the image on the left, that was the logo that was on all those pink shirts in that tiny picture. But Ben designed that himself, and I just thought that was cool. I should mention that.
Thank you.
So next, we are moving on to some clubs and activities that have done some things since last December. So we'll start with drama. So the play that went on in January was called She Kills Monsters, and I'm pretty sure it went pretty good. I didn't get the chance to see it, but I know you did.
I did. My brother was in it. My brother Sam. He essentially played a guy that would run out on stage and get punched in the face, and then he scurried off stage, then came back on stage a couple minutes later to get stabbed with a sword. But besides watching him get absolutely beat up by the other characters, the plot line was awesome. The actors were great. The tech crew was phenomenal. Every single play they put on is just so astoundingly amazing, and it's super fun to watch. And then, like, the play that goes wrong, you can talk about that one.
Yeah, so actually this coming weekend we have the final play of the year for the drama, and it's going to be called The Play That Goes Wrong, and I'm pretty sure this one's more of a comedy.
Yes.
So we are actually going to see it this weekend, so I think it's going to be good, and I'm excited to see it. So
another big club is FBLA, and our FBLA program is smaller in comparison to other FBLA programs. Like, Menominee Falls has like 188 kids, and then there's 18 of us here, which is fine. We're all super close, and it's a really fun club. But we have national qualifiers this year, ourselves included. So how FBLA is broken down is essentially when you sign up for FBLA, or when someone signs up for FBLA, you choose from a list of 50 events, 50 business-related events, and you choose one of those and you compete in it. Competition is optional, so I would say about half of those kids up there actually chose to compete, and the other half did not, which is totally fine. But the half that did compete, they go to regionals, and then if they qualify at regionals, they move to state, and after state, there's nationals. So we competed together in digital video production, which is, and I love making videos. I actually worked with Mrs. Calmage and Diane Boyd over there to make a video for the Waukesha Education Foundation a while ago. So I love making videos, so does she. So we thought, why not make a super cool FBLA video that promotes West, because that's what the theme was this year. And so we entered it at regionals. We moved on to state. We got first at regionals. State was this past Monday. Unfortunately, it was virtual. We were supposed to go up to Green Bay, but because of COVID, that just couldn't happen. So we were in just Mrs. Laveau's room, who is our amazing, amazing advisor. And we watched it online, and we got first. So we're qualifying for nationals as well, along with another girl named Catherine Reski and another girl named Sophie, which is super cool. And our video actually promotes West, and it covers a lot of what we are talking about right now. So Mr. Como, would you say we have time to show this video really quick? It's only 2 minutes. Thank you. Let's see if we can get this thing to work. Oh, hey, you're a little late for your tour. Real classy. No worries though, I'll make it work. Welcome to Waukesha West. If you're here for the first time, great. If you know this place inside and out, you're still coming. Did you say hi to Mrs. Brown on your way in? Great, follow me. When someone picks their classes at West, they choose from a list of over 180 core and elective classes. Trust me, I counted. There's calculus, economics, cooking, jazz, and so many more. We also offer a wide variety of online classes if we don't offer one in person, but odds are, we probably do. Oh, athletics? So glad you asked. We have football, basketball, dance.
You forgot about tennis.
Huh, oh yeah, thanks Mr. Hummer. Wait, when did you get here?
Get out of my chair.
Right, sorry. Where were we? Oh, athletics, right. With all the craziness going on the past year, West has taken steps not only to be safe within an academic setting, but an athletic one as well. Tennis, baseball, you name it, we all play our part and try our best to be safe, stay humble, and when we can, catch a win. And last, but most certainly not least, extracurriculars. It doesn't matter if you're in drama or FBLA, there's a place for everyone at Waukesha West. And with so many clubs and a welcoming environment that we pride ourselves on, West is a school anyone would be proud to be a part of. Well, that's about it for the tour. I tried telling you as much as I could, but I was limited on time because someone ran late. Just kidding, I'm glad you could make it. And remember, you're always welcome at Waukesha West. Thank you. You guys. So that was our video, and that was our national qualifier video. So yeah, there's that.
So, next on the agenda, we're going to talk about some more clubs that did some pretty cool stuff since last December. So we had our academic decathlon team at West that took 3rd place at state, and they were just this far away from making it to nationals, so that's super exciting. And then just before spring break, there's a picture up there of our jazz band performing at lunchtime right before spring break. They got all dressed up and performed some songs during lunch for students and teachers and anyone that wanted to watch. I got to see it myself. It was pretty entertaining. And then there is a new club at West called the Student Environmental Activists Club, or C, and they are currently actually running a clothing drive during March and then through the end of April that is collecting used, lightly used new clothes that are going to be donated. And there's this giant box right in the front of our, right in the front of the main doors.
It's
and
ginormous.
I was talking to the advisor of that club, and he said that there have probably been about 400 pounds of clothes donated.
At least.
And the giant box has been emptied like 3 or 4 times. So, and it's not over yet, so that's really exciting too. And then we also had a food drive run through Student Council, which was, we were able to collect about 3,400 pounds of food, both from the students, from teachers, and from the neighborhoods surrounding West. We were able to kind of fly our neighborhoods and then go pick up food the next weekend. So those are some notable things that we've done recently.
And then upcoming is what we pretty much have running until the end of the year. So we have a prom this year, and that's awesome because we have not had a prom before because last year it was canceled. And this year it was up in the air because, COVID and people weren't sure if it was going to happen or not. But we were fortunate enough to have it, it's going to be at West this year. So it's not going to be at a fancy hotel or anything, which is totally fine because this kind of compensates for us not having a homecoming. So it's kind of like a mashup of a homecoming and a prom, which is super cool. We've never been to prom together before, and it's going to be super fun for the first time. But first, before we get to that, we have AP testing, which is coming up. Pretty stressful week for all students at West and high school in general. So that is also coming up. And then finally, we have this vendor fair where there will be live music performances by the West bands. There's going to be art. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff going on there. I think the money goes to the bands, right? Yeah, all the money raised there, I think, goes straight to the Waukesha West Band Department. So, I mean, if you guys want to swing by and check it out, it's free admission. So give it a look if you want. But those are the 3 probably biggest things that we have coming up right now. And that's it. That concludes it. So thank you guys for your attention.
What questions do we have for Ben and Emma? Dan?
Since I have a real interest in FBLA, having been able to take students like yourself to national competition over the years, how is nationals going to be handled this time around? Because it's supposed to be in California, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was supposed to be Anaheim, and it was an absolute bummer that it got canceled because Mrs. Laveau, our advisor, was planning on taking us to Disneyland, which would have been super cool. And I've never been to California, so it's a bummer. And it's going to work a lot like state with just a live stream where we're sitting just in her room and we're watching it. And I mean, it played out fine, I would say, for the most part for state, but towards the end, literally when they were naming the winners and who was advancing to nationals, the live stream just crashed.
No.
It went out. So we were just sitting there okay, when's it going to come back on? And it just didn't. So they postponed it for a couple hours. Then we watched it that night and we found out we won. So I'm guessing nationals will be the same situation. But because nationals is over the span of a couple days, we don't know if it's all going to be condensed into one day or if it's going to be spread out across a couple different days. So if the time gets closer, I think it's in late June, early July. As that time rolls closer, I think we'll find out then. But as of now, I want to say that's going to be a lot like state, and that it's just going to be in a classroom and a live stream, which is fine. But it's better than nothing. So.
And congratulations for qualifying to nationals.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Well, say hi to Mrs. Laveau from me. Wonderful person that you have that's leading. I do have a question though for you, Ben. What was the toughest thing when you were planning the athletic leadership
the toughest
program?
thing?
Yeah. What was the toughest thing for you?
Ooh, man, I would say designing the shirt, but that's a cop out. Figuring out the logistics of it with COVID, absolutely 100%. Because I planned this as a junior as well. I was on the planning committee. Granted, I didn't do as much because I wasn't a senior, but this year as a senior, having to compensate for COVID and having the biggest issue was finding a location that could do this. And because we couldn't do it at River Glen, we had to find a different location. So that was West. So finding a location, wasn't necessarily difficult, but it was difficult to manipulate the auditorium to be functional for this event. Because all of the chairs are super condensed and we needed to have kids kind of spread out at least a little bit to adhere to social distancing. So that was a hard thing to do, to try to orchestrate who goes where when and for how long. So I think planning the actual scheduling, we came up with the seminars fine, we came up with what we wanted to talk about okay, but just planning to get everyone in one space all together was pretty tough with COVID. So I would say that is probably by far the most difficult thing we did.
Yes, Corey.
Thank you. I love seeing students here, and I hope we all do, of all different ages, but it's especially enjoyable to see seniors because we see a end product. We get to see the end product of all the efforts that you've done and everybody else. So it's fantastic. I think both of you are so used to getting these huge accomplishments that it just becomes normal. But as you tick them off, it's a huge deal. So congratulations, and that's fantastic. But I'm very curious to hear, if you're willing, excuse me, once you look back at high school, what's your most rewarding thing or activity or experience? I put you on the spot, so I apologize.
That's a loaded question.
You go first. I need time to think. You go.
Well, I guess I don't know if I would say so much of a concrete accomplishment, if that's okay, if that's what you mean. But I guess when I started at West as a freshman, I was very probably typical like nervous freshman, like very nervous, very like
think everyone was.
didn't really want to meet new people, that kind of thing. But just kind of as the years have gone on and I've just kind of like joined more clubs and met more people and kind of experienced more things, I think I've really like branched out and kind of like grew more into myself and my confidence. Like I never imagined I would have been speaking in front of the school board as a senior, but here I am and we're doing it together, and I'm just really proud of myself for how far I've come in terms of confidence and that kind of thing.
For me, I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, once I leave high school, what comes next? And that's been a question of mine for a while now. Because once I leave, like, my name's gonna get taken off like attendance sheets. People might forget who I am. And I think one thing that seniors tend to overlook is that once they leave high school, like, they're gone. And I think the word I'm getting caught up on is legacy. Because once you leave, you need to leave something behind so people people can remember you by. I want to, like, personally, I think my accomplishments have led to like kind of creating a little bit of a legacy for myself, and that I want that to be my biggest accomplishment, is not being forgotten after I leave high school, because that's a scary thing. Like, you're leaving your house to go to college, you're leaving your school. Like, I've been in the district for 12 plus years. It's familiar here. I like it here. And leaving is just something that I'm kind of afraid of, but I'm starting to come to terms with, because I'm creating a legacy for myself, because I'm not really truly leaving, because that video is going to be on the West page for who knows how long. And a lot of those different things we've done, like pictures of me in Mrs. LeVeau's room, those will be there for a while. But like creating those things, creating those memories that I can leave behind that others can remember me by, is something that I think could eventually be my greatest accomplishment. Because like I said, once we're gone, we're gone. And the only thing that people will have to remember us by is by like our name and what they're associated with. And if I'm able to make some really cool things that I'm associated with, then I'm never really truly leaving. So I want that to be my accomplishment, but I don't think I'm there quite yet.
Well said, both of you. Actuarial sciences and business.
Finance, yeah.
You may want to consider broadcast journalism. You're really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ben and Emma, for representing your schools. We wish you luck with your
so
future
much.
endeavors. You guys are going to do great no matter what you choose.
Oh my gosh,
And,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're now at the section of our meeting where there's an opportunity for our citizens to address the Board of Education. As has been past practice, each individual will be limited to 3 minutes of time to speak in order for us to hear from our community and to get onto the agenda of our meeting. At the 2.5 minute mark, Amanda will give you a signal. And if you could wrap your comments up in the next 30 seconds or the final 30 seconds, we'd appreciate it. We expect all speakers to honor our time limit, refrain from using any inappropriate language in any manner, and be respectful in their comments. Speakers who do not meet these expectations may be prohibited from speaking at future Board of Education meetings. We also expect the audience to be respectful of the speaker and the Board of Education, and refrain from responding with verbal comments, cheering, applause, or other behavior that will detract from the meeting. Also, in order to respect our speakers and the board, please silence your phones at this time if you haven't already. We do have one speaker signed up. It's Haley Awadala. Hi, Haley.
Hi. Wait, is this turned on?
Is it on? Okay, it's on.
Good evening. My name is Haley Awadala, and I'm an 8th grader that attends Butler Middle School. I'm standing in front of you today to discuss and solve an important issue that I believe schools need to start implementing into our curriculum. Schools have been reluctant to teach about this issue over the years, and that needs to change. I'll begin with this story. This is my story. When I was just a little girl attending elementary school, someone older than me would force me to play a game with them. To be quick, this game involves different sexual positions. It never ran through my head that I could even say no, or that this game wasn't normal, or that I could stop. I knew what sex was, but I didn't know that there was sexual assault, harassment, rape, etc. I had this going for years before I told an adult, and even after that traumatic experience, I didn't know what it was. If not for that experience, I would not be standing here today. It's a horrific thought that children under school supervision walk in the school hallways 5 days a week with experiences like mine and they don't even know what's happening. 43% of kids in America have thought of committing suicide because they were sexually abused. I have, and I gained the strength to stay, but not everyone else did. It's not too late to change this issue. My idea is that there should be a program in place in our schools similar to the Too Good for Drugs program. This program would include personal stories and lessons taught from all ages that children and teenagers can connect to. For example, stories from adults or students if they approve. The program would cover topics like consent or signs of these situations and how to use different tactics like Too Good for Drugs uses to prevent/get out of these dangerous situations. It should be taught by someone passionate and educated on the topic and should incorporate student help. It should also be made very clear that this happens to both boys and girls. This program would start with more basic level things and progressively get more mature throughout the grades. I will help as much as I can with the program. It should also include possible coping methods and resources to reach out for more information. This can't completely prevent every situation, but if anyone has a chance of being able to avoid one of these situations, isn't it worth it? Isn't it worth sparing the guilt that these students experience? Isn't it worth saving lives? This district serves over 14,000 students, and how many of your students do you believe are being sexually abused right now? And how do you believe you can
30
help
seconds.
or save? This district holds in its hand young minds that it can mold into whatever it wants because of how influential we are from a young age. Little decisions have biggest outcomes. This district helping boys and girls the way I couldn't be helped, the way hundreds or maybe thousands couldn't be, is one of the best decisions you guys can make. Thank you for this opportunity. I am standing for the kids of the school district of Waukesha that don't have the strength to stand yet.
Thank you, Haley. You're very brave and courageous to speak to us tonight. Thank you. Moving on to our minute approval. We do have 3 sets of minutes for your consideration. March 10th, regular board meeting. There was also an executive session on March 10th. And on March 11th, there was an executive session with respect to an expulsion panel. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second by Diane. And we did, Diane, you had actually pointed out that there was a meeting that was held. It was a virtual meeting. The minutes, we just didn't get it into this packet, but we will approve those minutes at our May meeting. Any discussion? Comments? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Amanda Ratty.
Aye.
Greg Dees.
Aye.
Diane Boyd.
Aye.
Joseph Kendall.
Aye, passes 8-0. Sue? Moving on to our communications. Dr. Siebert, did you receive any?
I did not, Mr. Como.
Okay, thank you. And Mrs. Voigt, do you have a report on the Waukesha Education Foundation?
I definitely do. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to begin by saying a sincere thank you to the 3 $1,000 silver annual sponsorship renewals received from Edward Jones, Charles Tinder, Citizens Bank, and Waterstone Bank. I also want to recognize the $1,000 new silver sponsor, Shore West Realtors, Waukesha West. The Casual for a Cause campaign raised an incredible $16,561. So thank you to Sue and all the staff for this tremendous show of support. The gift allowed the board to add to the $20,100 that's available automatically through the endowment fund to allow us again to be able to raise the amount that we can give to $35,100 for several years in a row now. Thank you to the generosity of the staff. Our window of applications closed on Friday, and I'm so excited that we have $35,100 to reward the most creative options that are in that set of potential applications for 2021. The extra $1,600 will go towards the wellness grants to be awarded for the elementary and secondary school that has the most movement minutes. I've been talking to you about the movement minutes. The secondary schools need some help at this point, according to looking at their little leaderboard so far. Bethesda's rocking at this point. Bethesda's doing really, really well. But if you can put some minutes in for the secondary schools, they could use our support. The outpouring of support for the sponsorships of the Move Forward Wellness event are too numerous to mention in this report. But I do want to encourage you to take a look at the website and check out the variety. There are 20 plus activities that are hosted by local businesses. So this has really become an event compared to just the one-day walk-run kind of program of the past. As you think about adding your Move Forward minutes between now and April 25th, you can just go to bit.ly/WEF Move Forward website and definitely consider doing that to be able to add to the opportunities for the schools to be getting the wellness grants that are available. The Waukesha Education Foundation golf outing will be held at Western Lakes on August 4th. Look for communications to get involved in this annual fun fundraiser. And at your desk, each of you has the Waukesha Education Foundation annual report. Please take a few minutes to marvel, as I do, at the many partnerships that are at work through the Waukesha Education Foundation. Joe was involved with me 7 years ago when I first got involved on WEF, and I'm just awed to see how the accomplishments at this point compared to where we were at it back 7 years ago.
Huge growth. Yes.
Huge growth. To take a look at the stats, we're looking at $330,000 has been awarded in grants since our inception. $220,000 has been given out in scholarships to kids. So this is just an amazing opportunity for the School District of Waukesha to have this community partnership through the Waukesha Education Foundation. So definitely take a look at that. One of my favorite parts is getting involved in the honors nights and presenting some of those scholarships. And the honors nights for all 3 high schools are going to be on May 19th. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity to be part of that and being able to give away some of these wonderful scholarships to the kids in the district. That concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. White. Thank you for all your hard work on that committee, too. I know you look forward to sharing the information every month with us.
Well, Mrs.
And you've done it spectacularly. Moving on to our charter school and program report given by Mr. Bumgardt.
Yes, I do. I do have a report this evening regarding the planetarium. I had the opportunity to spend some time with Lisa Swaney this past week. We discussed some of the plans for the entrance lobby. If you were one of those that visited the planetarium last December, you may have heard of the ideas to serve the students in that lobby area before they go into the dome. Some progress has been done, but significantly more is still coming. A lot depends on funding, and thankfully some of our givers have been very generous. Plans, plans are in place for some improvement work on the audio in that dome, as hearing things was a little bit difficult at times. Much of this work will be done with internal facility services staff and the collaboration they've been making with the planetarium. And also the planetarium is being gradually used more. I don't know if that's good grammar or not. Let me try that. Anyway, the planetarium is being used more, particularly with public showings. Lisa and I discussed how people that show up for one of the public showings may learn something from it and then develop that into some additional opportunity that they might have with a business that they're involved with. And with those, that's the conclusion of my report.
Mr. Baumgart?
Oh, one more thing. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
We had, she's got a half a dozen leftover 2021 calendars over there that are quite dramatic from the NASA organization. So not enough to go around, but if you want one on the way out, take it.
Yeah, thank you. Wow.
Well done, Sue. Thank you. Now I'm done.
Are you working a second job, Sue? Vanna substitute. Oh, that's great. Okay, moving on to our consent agenda. Darren, did we have any public gifts? I know we did, actually.
List.
Yeah, there's
Quite
quite
a
a
few.
list tonight. Waukesha South received 4 gifts, $500 from Richard and Charlotte Lau for the football program, $1,000 from an anonymous donor for prom decorations, $1,000 from Heidi and David Bauer to be used for prom, and $1,000 from Blue Bar and Company Incorporated to also be used for prom. Les Paul received $5,000 from Paul and Kathleen Ullman to be used for math, science, and technology integration in the classrooms, and $800 from the Gap Foundation and Old Navy to be used for students, families in need. And Waukesha West received $800 from an anonymous donor to be used for boys volleyball, boys track, Random Acts of Kindness Club, and the athletic department, and $900 from an anonymous donor to be used for GSA and other clubs' activities supplement.
Wow. Generosity, I think, totals over 11,000, somewhere in there. So thank you, everybody, for those gifts. Fantastic. Your agenda does include various categories for approval. Included in the items for approval are decisions of the expulsion panel, which met on March 11th of 2021. A confidential communication regarding the details of the expulsions was in your Friday packet along with the minutes included under item number 1H. If any board member wishes to discuss this item, we have scheduled an executive session for that. Approval of the consent agenda does confirm full board's agreement with the expulsion panel's action. Does anyone want to have any item be set aside for separate consideration? Okay, seeing none. Amanda, will you please present the consent agenda for approval?
Yes, Mr. President. Earlier this evening, the Human Resources and Compensation Committee approved of 8 resignations, one revised resignation date, 1 leave of absence, and 2 new or modified teacher contracts, along with 860 continuing teacher contracts. The information was provided in your packets, and an addendum was placed at your desk. I move that the consent agenda be approved as amended.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Dietz. Any discussion? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Mike Dees.
Aye.
Karen Radicek. Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Diane Boyd.
Aye.
William Bacher.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 8-0, Sue. Thank you, Ms. Roddy.
Thank you.
Moving on to the superintendent's report given by Dr. Siebert.
All right, thank you, Mr. Como. So just 3 things for you today. The first one being that somehow it is mid-April and our schools are open and they continue to be thriving. And so I just want to thank very much our students, our teachers, administrators, our staff, our families, our community. Everybody deserves a tremendous amount of credit for making that happen, and we should be very proud of that. Secondly, I wanted to announce that this school year, despite all of the challenges that we've had, we will be graduating 61 students with the Wisconsin Seal of Biliteracy, 10 of them in 3 languages, and 46 students with the Global Scholars Award. The Wisconsin Seal of Biliteracy is a state-approved certificate to recognize students who have attained proficiency in English and 1 or more additional languages by high school graduation. And the Global Competence state-certified credentials serve as college, career, and community readiness talent markers recognizing students' language, intercultural, and global competence. Since we've adopted these state credentials in 2017, miraculously, we have now graduated 248 students with the Wisconsin Seal of Biliteracy. And so I certainly want to thank Jody for her leadership, as well as our multilingual and global educational director, Dee Garcia, for all of her efforts in this area on behalf of our students. Those numbers are remarkable. So really, really impressive, and also a great indication of the success of our dual language program throughout the school district of Waukesha, finishing up at that level.
And to excuse my interruption, Dr. Siebert. And Jody, I don't know if you can help put that in perspective statewide. I mean, it's not like every school does this. It's a rarity. Do you have some kind of perspective that you could share? Rough.
Language programming class that we started with
are now juniors in high school.
Yes, fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, we talk about gems in our district. This is definitely one of those things that sets us apart from almost every other district in the state.
Without a doubt. Yeah, thank you for.
Sorry for that
clarifying.
interruption.
Oh, no, absolutely. That's a great point. And then just lastly, I wanted to congratulate Mr. McCaffrey on his reelection. I look forward to continuing to work with you. And I certainly wanted to thank Mr. O'Brien and Mrs. Voigt for their many years of dedicated service to the district and to the community, and certainly hope we can stay in touch. So that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Moving on to our committee work, where most of the heavy-duty lifting is done. We rotate which committee gets to present first, and this month we have Teaching and Learning presented by Mr. Dietz.
Thank you, Mr. President. The last Teaching and Learning Committee meeting was held on April 6, 2021 at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom. 4 discussion information items appear on the agenda for Teaching and Learning this evening. The first discussion information item was Integrated Math 1 and 2 course syllabi. With the math department moving into the implementation phase of its new scope and sequence, the specifics about each course are being developed by teacher teams, resulting in new district Understanding by Design course syllabi. Integrated Math 1 and Integrated Math 2, as well as Dual Language Integrated Math 1 and Dual Language Integrated Math 2, are complete. Beginning in the 2021-2022 school year, we will be launching Integrated Math 1 at the high school and middle school levels in place of algebra. The following year, we will start Integrated Math 2 in place of geometry. During the spring and summer, Integrated Math 1 teachers will continue working together to create common assessments and further develop their expertise with our new curricular resources.
Any comments or questions on that? We've been working on that a long time. A lot of effort's been going into this, and it's going, I think, spectacularly. Pretty excited to see this come to fruition.
Okay. The second discussion information item was an elementary and secondary social studies update. The kindergarten through 12th grade social studies team presented an update around the curricular work taking place. Dee Garcia, Director of Multilingual and Global Education, Melissa Yao, Director of Elementary Learning, and Rachel Herman, Director of Secondary Learning, along with several teachers, presented the perspectives around how shifting to an inquiry-based approach is aligned to the new standards and beneficial to improve student outcomes. The teacher team walked the board through specific examples of elements within an inquiry design model. At the elementary level, teachers also shared out an update around their pilot of the social studies resources. Lastly, the curricular team shared their next steps as they look to close out the school year. Specifically, elementary will continue to pilot additional resources, and secondary will begin to explore the draft of the scope and sequence and explore resources as they begin to pilot in the fall of 2021.
Also, is a discussion item. Any comments, questions, concerns? Good.
The third discussion information item was overview of the AP Geography textbook adoption process. Over the course of the last 2 months, the AP Human Geography team has piloted 3 textbooks with the goal to make the most informed recommendation for an adoption of a new resource to support their classes. The team has considered the following information in its recommendation: alignment of the resource to the AP College Board Human Geography curriculum standards, alignment of the resource to the School District of Waukesha's vision for social studies, student feedback, staff feedback, readability and features of the resource and the appropriateness of these features to the 9th grade students, alignment of our instructional model, including the purposeful integration of technology. Also wanted to mention that all committee members also received a copy of the 3 textbooks that were being considered several weeks in advance, we had a chance to look at that. So that was very beneficial to the committee as well. Based on an analysis of these factors, the team is recommending the adoption of human geography for the AP course by Hildenbrandt, Keller, Liu, and Newman. This resource aligns to the core curriculum of the AP Human Geography College Board, and the information is presented in a way common assessments and further develop their expertise of new curricular resources.
Yes, Bill.
Well, that wasn't right, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Got mixed up here. The resource also aligns to the instructional model of the School District of Waukesha. Social studies teachers Jill Anderson and Mark Anderson from West, Jenny Pano of South, and Jim Nelson from North joined the Director of Secondary Learning, Rachel Herman, in reviewing the text with the board members.
Yes, Bill.
Yeah, I'll just add a kind of a note on that. A long time ago, we board members looked at a lot of the textbooks that came through. Jody and I talked about this. It's not very common that we do that anymore, but we did in this time. And I'm going to speak for myself and a couple other board members, I think, feel the same way. That was quite an experience, not just the fact that we were looking for a textbook, one of three, but the fact that we got to see what that course is about. And I think the opening of our eyes to what that course was about and the kind of things that were covered in at least in the textbooks, for those of us that don't really remember everybody having human geography as a course, it was really quite interesting, and to the point where sometimes you just kept reading. Mm-hmm. So I just want to compliment the fact that we did it that way this time. So
excellent. Ms. Reincheck?
Okay. We do have copies.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyone else that would like one? I'm sure Jody could provide copies as well.
Corey,
And I think another amazing thing was that it's a ninth grade textbook. You know, it's for ninth graders, and it's ninth and up. But I mean, you look at that and you think, wow, someone just starting high school, the complexity of the text and what it involves.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Okay, Greg.
Our fourth and last discussion information item was a winter Measures of Academic Progress, or MAP, data update. Amy Riebel, Data Communication Liaison, reviewed the results of the winter 2021 administration of the Measures of Academic Progress, or MAP, assessment. The test was administered to our students in kindergarten through 8th grade. A copy of the data was put in your board packet last week.
Any comments or questions on the MAP results? That was the second test that the students took. They will be taking a third test, correct, Jody, in the spring? Yes. Excellent. Okay. All right, Greg.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. That concludes the Teaching and Learning Committee report for this evening. Our next meeting will be held on Tuesday, May 4th, 2021 at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom.
Thank you. Moving on to our Government Relations Committee, given by Ms. Roddy.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do not have a report this evening. The next report from the committee will come out June to the full board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Safety and Security, given by Ms. Reincheck.
Mr. President, the Safety and Security meeting did not take place last month, but we are meeting next Monday here in this room at 6 o'clock.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Moving on to Human Resources and Compensation Committee, given by Amanda Roddy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The Human Resource and Compensation Committee has an action item which includes the approval of the recommended candidate and the contract for the position of athletic director/assistant principal of South High School. The administration is recommending Daniel Schreier for the position of athletic director/assistant principal of South High School. Mr. Schreier is a humble, reflective, and impactful educator and leader. He has a growth mindset and is ready to take on the challenge of leading a new role. He is dedicated to the students and staff of South High School. He values building relationships with students and athletes and pushes them to strive to be their personal best. He is already actively involved in the school community at South, supporting students at athletic and other co-curricular events. He has served on the school sales leadership team and has led professional development for teachers both at South and at the district level. Mr. Daniel Schreier is currently a math and avid teacher at South High School. He has been teaching in the school district of Waukesha since 2009. Mr. Schreier received his master's degree in educational leadership and policy analysis, as well as his bachelor's of science in secondary mathematics education from UW-Madison. Dan's resume and contract were provided in your packet, and a salary and benefits will be according to the middle management policies. Mr. President, I move to approve the recommendation of the contract of Mr. Daniel Schreier for the position of Athletic Director, Assistant Principal at South High School.
Is there a second? Mr. Bumgart? Second by Mr. Bumgart. Discussion. Mr. Bumgart.
It's really quite simple. Every once in a while, something just fits and makes sense. And this is one of those cases. Dan has done a tremendous job over there with both the math and the AVID program, and has been a coach over there. And the staff at South appreciates him.
Questions or comments? I agree. Excellent choice. What a great fit. I think Dan is going to do a wonderful job. And he had some stiff competition. This wasn't like he was the only one who applied. There were over 60 and some highly qualified people. And we wish we'll see how the vote goes. But if it passes, we wish Dan luck. I think, he already knows he fits in because he's there. He's been there for 12 years. And without further ado, why don't we take the vote on whether or not he will become the next athletic director at Waukesha South?
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Greg Dees.
Aye.
Amanda Ratty.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Diane Boyd.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Karen Meinicek. Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 8-0. Congratulations, Mr. Schreier. Amanda?
Thank you. The committee is now requesting the approval of the recommended candidate and the contract for the position of Director of Elementary Special Education. The administration is recommending Amanda Mack for the position of Director of Elementary Special Education. Amanda Mack is currently the Director of Student Services for the St. Francis School District. She has been the school psychologist with the St. Francis and the Milwaukee Public School Districts. Ms. Mack works with a student-centered approach. She is engaging and well-organized in her communication. She approaches challenges with a growth mindset. She values making sure all voices are heard. She is a visible leader and an excellent listener. She believes in working with teams to build capacity in teachers and administrations to benefit students. Additionally, Amanda Mack has worked as a educational specialist for the Department of Public Instruction. Ms. Mack received her Director of Special Education and Pupil Services licensure with UW-Clare, her Special Education Specialist, School Psychology, and her Master's of Science in Education from UW-La Crosse. She received her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology and Human Development from UW Green Bay. Amanda's resume and contract were provided in your packet. Salary and benefits will be according to the middle management policies. Mr. President, I move to approve the recommendation and contract of Amanda Mack for the position of the Director of Elementary Special Education.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Dietz. Questions, comments? I had, Dr. Cook, I had asked in the HR committee meeting whether you've crossed paths with Amanda before. And would you mind sharing some of your comments?
Yeah, so each member of the student services team has had contact with her, so she was familiar to. She's very active in WCAS, which is the professional organization. Provides a lot of professional development and networking for student services directors. Her prior superintendents, I've known for a long time and had a lot of contact.
Karen Peterson's been with us so long and has done such a wonderful job. There's big shoes for Amanda to fill if she is to get that chance through this vote. But thank you for sharing those observations. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote to approve Amanda Mack for the position of Director of Elementary Special Education.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Karen Meinicek. Aye. Greg Dees.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Joseph Fillmore.
Aye, passes 8-0. Amanda?
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee had one information item, that is the employee recognition information. Last year, our years of service recognition event and retirement dinner were postponed. To celebrate retirees from 2020, this fall, the district provided a gift card, their retirement gift, the retiree booklet mailed to their homes. To celebrate years of service, HR combined last year and this year and delivered gifts and the program to honorees schools today. We celebrated employees with 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and 45 years of service. And with that, Mr. President, it concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Roddy. I know there's been a number of people who worked very hard on this. I saw Tatiana late the other night. I think she stayed maybe past our board meeting after our T&L meeting. Maybe she wanted to walk out with us or something, but so thank you to her and to all those in the HR. Sharon, I don't know if you want to point out anybody else. I don't mean to just focus in on Tatiana, but I noticed she was just putting the pedal to the metal.
I would love to. Tatiana is the lead, Tatiana Patterson, so thank you for Tatiana, but then also the whole team helped out, Esther Mulder, Marge Moy, Suzanne Pulaski, and then Pat Barr from technology also would come up to assist us as well. And there were probably others, but those were very busy worker bees these past couple of days to get everything put together. So they did a great job, and we got to deliver last night, so everyone got to see. We had some custodians help driving these, that packages couldn't tip over, like be very careful. So yeah, we had a lot of custodians helping out too, second shift. So I think we made some people smile today, so that was exciting.
Thank you. Thank you to all who participated in making that special. COVID has really thrown us a curveball, as everyone knows, but this is a job well done. We're all set?
That was it.
Thank you, Ms. Roddy. Moving on to policy given by Mr. Baumgart.
Thank you. I do have 5 action items. One is a new policy, and 4 of them are policies that are just simply being modified a little bit. The new policy is 7440.03, small unmanned, I almost said unarmed, true too, small unmanned aircraft systems. You know, they look alike.
Hopefully they're unarmed.
It's about drones, and quite simply, this has been reviewed. I think it was read back to once, but it's just to control the evidence of drones being brought into our properties. Sometimes it has to be done because we want something looked at. In other cases, we don't want somebody in just doing it. So this policy just controls that. And I move for approval of policy 7440.03, small unmanned aircraft systems.
Seconded by Diane Voigt. Discussion? Yeah, I think there are appropriate times to be using droids. Like I know we had a couple droid videos of some of the referendum improvements that we've been going through, and I thought those were, very valuable. So there are times where it's appropriate, but just can't be hanging out doing that sort of thing. So it's basically what this is all about. Any other discussion, comments? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Meinicek. Aye. Amanda
Aye.
Diane Boyd.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Corey Monteith.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 8-0. Sue? Bill?
Okay, I have 4 policies, revision policies. I'm going to go over them all real quickly with you. There's nothing particularly exciting in here. If we can take them all at one time at the end unless somebody wants one set aside. Policy 0172, legal counsel language has been added to clarify protocols for contacting, why am I having trouble saying that, district legal counsel. This was presented at the previous board meeting. There was a question raised on it, brought it back to the committee meeting, and we decided to leave it as it is. And that's the way I will be moving on that one. Questions on that? Okay. Policy 2460, programs for students with disabilities. This policy has been revised to update the terminology and includes the required language assuring compliance with applicable regulations. Joe, this is quite simply where we are fitting into what the requirements are. Is that correct? Okay. Thank you. Any questions on that? Policy 5512, use of tobacco, nicotine, and related products by students. This policy is revised to incorporate more comprehensive terms recommended by Wisconsin Department of Health Services and to incorporate language that permits the application of the policy prohibitions to a broad range of devices. Whereas previously it was about tobacco, now it includes more things like cigarettes, vaping, Juul, and as it says in my notes here, things that may not even be known about yet. So it's really just to be more expansive rather than just to strictly deal with tobacco and cigarettes. The revision also includes an option that authorizes school officials to regulate attire that displays tobacco or nicotine products or other products as a sort when worn at school-sponsored events. Any questions on that one? And lastly, also on tobacco, use of tobacco and nicotine on school premises. These revisions are recommended to assure comprehensive policies providing for tobacco-free facilities by also including that facilities be free from other nicotine delivery systems. And with that, I will move for approval of policies, the revised policy 0172, also 2460, also 5512, also 7434, and that's my motion.
Seconded by Diane Voigt. Discussion?
I just
Mr.
have a
McCaffrey?
question. Thinking about it, I would like the legal counsel one separated because I'm going to vote no on it. And I don't want to vote no on everything.
Okay.
The reason I'm going to vote no on it is because I've had to contact our legal counsel for questions on a different issue that we've had as a board. So I'm going to vote no because it wasn't changed.
Separate that one.
Okay, so I need to.
I don't want to vote no on everything.
I should have asked you that before. I apologize.
No, that's fine. Not a problem.
I need to ask Mr. Baumgart if you're okay with just pulling that one out?
Yes, we will be voting, if we're voting in mass, we will not be including 0172. I'll make a separate motion on that one.
Okay, and I need to also ask Diane Voigt if that's okay? Okay. Further discussion on these three that are part of this motion? Okay, seeing none. Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Corey Monteith.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 8-0. And then we'll go back
you.
to the one, Bill?
Yes, I will now make an independent motion for 0172 to be approved as revised.
Is there a second to that?
Seconded.
Second by Diane Voigt. Discussion on this? Further information? Okay.
Mr. Como.
Ms. Roddy.
Would you do me a favor? My docs isn't pulling up here. Just a quick why did we ask for it to go back to committee?
Because, I wish I had that one.
Yeah, mine's not coming up
Yeah,
either.
I got it now. The requirement being authority to contact such counsel for legal advice or assistance on behalf of the district will normally be that of the board president and superintendent unless otherwise specified by the board. So it is possible for somebody to go with permission. But I guess the opinion that this is, you don't have a random option as a board member to go running off to the attorney, to that attorney, our attorney, the board attorney.
Okay.
And that was at an issue with a couple board members.
Oh, I recall it now. Yes, thank you. So it's saying that if we want to speak to the attorney, we need to speak with the superintendent in advance. Or the board president.
Seek basically permission to contact our board attorneys, not your own attorney.
Correct.
Thought I saw Mr. Dietz hand first, and then Ms. Reinacek will be next.
Mr. Baumgart, is that a recommendation by Neola?
It was vetted by them, yes.
Okay.
Ms. Reinacek? Was that discussed in committee?
Not that I recall. Joel?
Just clarify, if the issue involves the superintendent or the board president, like we have policies that talk about situations that, like, if, not to pick on you, Dr. Siebert, but if Dr. Siebert did something that would require Mr. Como to reach out to legal counsel or a committee chair to reach out to legal counsel, then that would be the case. Absent, we have policy that talks about the positions on the board, and the vice president has ability if the board president question. So there are ways to still reach out to legal counsel, but again, this is advice for the district and how to operate. It's not advice for a single board member and how to operate. It's always dealing with district.
No, it was just it did not come up because somebody had taken advantage of it. I'm trying to get your question correct. Is that right? No, that is not the case. It was probably somebody that was thinking forward or future, better word.
Just for perspective, Neola does work with about 1,500 school districts around the country, and they get a lot of experience based off of scenarios that play out in other school districts. So this came as part of a recommended update from the 25 or 30 packets or 30 policies that we had to update from, I believe.
Good question.
Mr. McCaffrey?
The question I have about it is where it says, on behalf of the district shall be normally that of the board president and superintendent unless otherwise specified by the board as a whole. It doesn't say that the board president or the superintendent can authorize a board member. It says specified by the board. So for instance, if I'm calling, if I'm talking to the attorney about a different board member, the only way I can talk to him is if the board allows me to, because that board member would be on the board. So that's the concern I have. So if I have a problem with somebody, or I have a question, a legal question about something or somebody, and I go to Mr. Como, he cannot authorize me to talk to them, according to the way it's worked right now. That's the problem that I have.
So it would be related to board business. This policy does cover what is the business of the board. It does not specify individual board members' questions, like you mentioned,
right,
on another board member.
So is the assumption then that, let's say there was a question about another board member, that this wouldn't prohibit
No.
the board member from
There are
reaching out to an attorney?
There are bylaws in our policy book that govern board behavior to a degree, allow for investigation of what a board conflict of interest, for instance, if there was a interest that one board member was engaged in, that then, again, that would be an action of the board to go and pursue that. But that would be an area that would require some investigation. I can't think of scenarios where one board member would be calling, but I.
Mr. Montijo.
Thank you. I'm just trying to flesh this out in my head to try to understand your concerns. I think the current concern may be that a board member or multiple board members want to get a legal opinion from council. We have to, I think according to this policy, go through you and/or the superintendent. And if you both would hypothetically say no, I don't think under this policy there's any redress for that, unless I'm missing it. If there's not, I would just suggest we amend it to say that happens, it should be brought in front of the full board and a majority can overrule that. I think the worry may be that it's just simply a dead end. How this would ever happen, I don't know, but I don't want to set up future boards for potentially a dead end where there's no redress if there is impropriety, not that you would ever do it, but I don't know if is that kind of what you're, I shouldn't ask him a question, but that's, I think how I'm hearing it.
Well, the language states that, I mean, Mr. Como cannot give me permission. He has to make the call. According to this, or the superintendent.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You have to make the call, or Jim has to, or whoever superintendent has to call. So for instance, say that I'm concerned about the actions of a board member. Okay. And Mr. Como is not. I cannot ask the attorney if I should be concerned about those.
I'm focusing in on the word normally, because I know that over the past, we've operated that you can. You know,
Yes, right.
not just myself. I mean, I know, I'm not going to say who, but I know you folks, some of you folks have talked to our attorneys on board business. And I think the initial contact was made by myself or Dr. Siebert to our attorneys, but then we're like, hey, talk to these board members on this. So I don't know if the word normally gives us some flexibility or not here.
Well, it would. We should
Yes, Bill.
also pay attention to the words in front of that. Is legal advice or assistance on behalf of the district.
Right.
District as a whole.
Involving individual situations.
Mm-hmm.
That's elsewhere in our bylaws. Is that what you're saying, Joe? Yeah.
Any sort of misconduct, there are policies, bylaws that cover the board's behavior that would then trigger what would be the next steps. I do think, I mean, if there was something to entertain in this, we have committee structures in place where somebody is the chair of, like, for instance, finance and facilities, where a contract might come up. I mean, that could be an avenue where Clark, but this does cover just the normal guidance for board business and for the, can't speak to the specific situation. Probably could come up with 100 of examples why we would want to have this, but I can't speak to Mr. McCaffrey's.
Mr. Montijo.
I remember dealing with this at committee, and I think I said, look, if this doesn't pass, I could go to our attorneys and say, look, give me a memorandum on federalism and its interplay in school board elections, and that's, 18-hour, 19-hour research project, and that's going to bill a district a ton of money. But I understand your point, too. I guess my thought is maybe, is there a motion on this yet? I don't remember.
Yes, there is.
I guess my discussion would be perhaps we'd kick it back to the committee, get maybe a more detailed fleshing out of the concerns and that's the questions we have.
No, we can vote on it. I mean.
Okay, all right.
But I have a suspicion it's gonna pass, but we can definitely vote on it. I mean,
And
I go along with,
even if this passes, it doesn't mean that we cannot still have the committee continue to research some of these other points. I think there were some very different points that were brought up. There were like 3 of them.
yeah.
And maybe Bill, you and Joe can get together and talk on some of those.
Yeah, we need to have some examples, I think, and see whether or not they fit here or elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to make sure that if we have some school board business, and even if Dr. Siebert and I started the conversation with our attorneys, that we still have the right to say, hey, Patrick, I want you to chime in on this, or Bill, I want you to chime in on this. Can you call X attorney? We want to make sure that we're not prohibiting ourselves from doing something. We had some of the behavior, if a improper behavior of the superintendent, or there's an improper behavior of the president. Let's make sure that we got those things covered, and give us some of the flexibilities that we were talking about here. And perhaps you can coordinate that, Mr. Baumgart, with Joel. And there may be other policies that might need to be amended. It might just be us coming back. Maybe your committee comes back and says, hey, we are covered, and these are the flexibilities. But if you could lead that, Bill, I would appreciate it. Okay. Any other further comments or discussion on the motion that's on the floor? Okay, so we would be looking at approving policy number 0172, legal counsel, as presented. So will you take the...
Aye.
Aye.
Greg Dees.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
No.
Diane White.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 7-1. Sue? Okay, Bill?
That concludes my report. We have a committee meeting next Tuesday,
Okay, thank you.
4 o'clock.
At what time?
4 o'clock.
Gotcha. It got swallowed by the mask.
Yeah,
I caught in there.
very good.
Okay, moving on to our technology committee given by Mrs. Voigt.
Mr. President, we have not met, so I have no report this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to finance and facilities given by Mr. McCaffrey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 4 action items and 2 discussion items on the agenda this evening. The first action item is the approval of the 2021-2022 student fees. The committees was presented a recommendation for the student fees for the 2021-2022 school year. There are no changes in the instructional fees and a slight increase in food services fees to cover the cost of meals. The committee approved the student and food service fees as presented, and I so move.
Is there a second to that? Second by Mrs. Reinacek. Discussion? I just wanted to say how much I've appreciated the hard work that Darren and his department has put in over the last few years to streamline things, make things simpler, make things more affordable, to get the processes down. There's been a lot that's happened, and so hats off to you and your department. Appreciate it. Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Greg Dees.
Aye.
Diane White.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 8-0. Sue?
All right, thank you. My second action item is the approval of Community Library Liaison Agreement. The administration presented the renewal agreement for the Community Library Liaison. This is a 3-year agreement between the City of Waukesha Public Library and the School District of Waukesha. This position strengthens the relationship between the public library and school libraries, allowing families additional access outside of the school day to our school libraries and allowing us to connect with parents. The committee approved the agreement for a community library liaison as presented, and I so move.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Roddy. Discussion?
Good idea.
I agree. It's excellent. It serves some of our most neediest students, and serving them in a manner that I think helps them to move forward in life. Yes. Other comments, questions? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Cory Monteil.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Diane Boyd.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 8-0. Sue? Pat?
Okay, my third action item is the approval of the 339 Arlington vacant house demolition. This action item was tabled and will be taken up next month. My fourth action item is the approval of the Oakdale property garage demolition and the Waukesha Fire Department training exercise. Tim Fleming of the Waukesha Fire Department was in attendance to answer any questions relating to the fire department's training. There will be no live fire and only cutting into the building for ventilation training. The committee approved the Waukesha Fire Department's training exercise and the subsequent demolition of the garages located on the Oakdale property, and I so move.
Is there a second to that? Second by Mr. Baumgart. Discussion? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Diane Boyd.
Aye.
Cory Monteil.
Abstain.
Karen Reinacek. Greg Leach.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 7-0, 1 abstained. Okay, Pat?
Alrighty, that concludes my action items. We have two discussion items. The first discussion item is the monthly budget report. Revenues and expenditures continue to be within budgeted limits for both the general and special education fund. The district is operating in accordance with our approved budget and all other funds as well. Questions about the budget? Alrighty, our second discussion item is the budget development update, which includes water rates and ESSER funding. The committee was updated on how ESSER funds will affect our future budgets and the worry of a funding cliff when ESSER funds run out. It is suggested that ESSER funds be utilized for one-time expenses only, while we also work on reducing the structural deficit. The committee was also updated on the historical increase in water rates. Any questions on or discussions on any of those two items? Everybody watch the meeting? Awesome. Excellent. Our next meeting is May 10th at 5:30 in the boardroom. Mr. President, this concludes my report.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our other business. Any recommendations for items to be added to the full Board of Education agenda from future meetings? Or anything to committee chairs? Yes, Ms. Reincheck?
Thank you. Our only speaker today, Bailey, brought up sexual harassment, all of
Can you talk a little closer, I think?
those. Can you update us on the area? Can you hear it? Can you fix it?
Right on it.
Bailey spoke to us tonight about sexual assault, sexual abuse, and I just wanted to know if we could have an update on what are we going through, what are we covering in our either health classes or FYEs.
Okay.
Can I add to that?
Sure, Bill.
It's very hard for me to understand that. And if there's a way we could get a copy of her speech, of that young lady's speech, I would benefit. I don't know if that's possible or not. She didn't
Okay.
leave it with you, did she? Okay, maybe.
We might have to rewind the video.
Yeah,
And,
we'll do that. Okay.
okay. And that I would probably toss to Mr. Dietz and Jody, that's in your area? Or is that student service? I don't know. Both?
Luke and I, we could put something together in terms of where So we could do it one of two ways. We could take it to committee and just give an information update, or I could provide it in a Friday.
Do you have a preference, Karen, on that?
No, whatever's best for you.
And maybe start with an update and then kind of see where it goes. Maybe that's, unless you really feel it needs to come to the committee right away, so.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, I believe we do not have a need for closed sessions this evening, so I'd like to thank everyone for being with us this evening, and we do stand adjourned.